Okay, so today we're going to take a look at Wizard Validator Scripts, what they are, where you set them up, and what they can be used for and what they should not be used for. Um, so first thing to note with a Wizard Validator is that they can be run for not every single wizard in finPOWER Connect, but a whole lot of them. If we take a look at our script type of Wizard Validator here and our object, you can see here these are the wizards that we can hook a Wizard Validator script up to, and therefore affect via some script code. All of these are set up in global settings, with the exception of the new account wizard, which is set up on the product type. The rest of them are all set up in global settings. So if we go into global settings here and have a look at accounts and scripts, right down the bottom here, you'll see there's a section for Wizard Validators. So once you've got your Wizard Validator script ready to test, it needs to be set up in the appropriate box under global settings. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at the script code and the events and things that you can use throughout the Wizard Validator. So first thing to note is that it's an event type of script, so the script's going to get called every time a page is shown. It's also going to validate each and every page before it moves on to the next page, and then it's going to fire again at finish. Okay, so the target object change is our opportunity to set some defaults on our underlying object. Now, obviously, each validator has an underlying object. So if it's a payment arrangement Wizard Validator, then it has an account payment arrangement add, and this is all given to us in the when we paste in our template code. So we can affect some. So if you find, for instance, you've got users who are going through a payment arrangement wizard and they're ticking the same boxes every time, then you could actually go through in the target object change event, and as the wizard validator, as the wizard starts up, you can default some of those values for them. Page show then fires for every page except the first page. So as I say, target object change fires once. It fires at the start. That is essentially, you can think of that if you like as being page show for the initial page in a wizard. Thereafter, the pages will be shown, and you can affect the code for that particular page in the page show event. And as you can see, we get passed through a page ID every time. So the Wizard Validator script knows at what page the wizard's at. Every time the page is shown, then it will fire the code in this particular event. And same with page validate. So once you click the next button in the wizard, before it moves the page, it validates the current page. So if you've got some input there that you want to perform some custom validation for, so I don't know, we'll have a look at a sample a little bit later, but you have an opportunity there to prevent the wizard from moving on, or to display a message to the user asking them if they're sure they wish to continue. And again, we'll look at a couple of examples of that shortly. But page validate tends to be the event that we use to perform any custom validation on entry of that particular page in the wizard. And then we have the finish button as well. So as soon as obviously the wizard, they click finish on the wizard, then the finish event will fire, so you can perform any other further updates at that point. You can also still fail the wizard at that point. So if you're on finish, if there's any other custom general validation that you want to perform, you can perform that there, and you can fail the wizard at that point. It's really important to note that whilst this finish event does fire once you click the finish button, it hasn't actually committed that account. So in this instance, the account payment arrangement to the database. Okay, so there is still the opportunity for the user themselves to cancel that payment arrangement. So if we go and look at an account, and I were to perform a payment arrangement on that account, next would fire, and then finish. Okay, so you still see that there's a warning message that comes up. So our finish code will have fired at the point that we click the finish button, but we can actually say no, we don't want to continue with this payment arrangement, and at that point the payment arrangement's gone. Okay, so if we say no, that cancels that payment arrangement in finPOWER, but our code in our Wizard Validator has actually gone through and fired. Okay, so you have to be really careful. Don't just assume because you've put your code in the finish event that the payment arrangement at that point has been committed, because it hasn't. Okay, so if you have code that needs to fire once the payment arrangement has been committed to the account, then you should use an object event script, not a Wizard Validator. So that finish event is really just to perform some extra custom validation. It's not designed to be used as a tool for for updating based upon the on the account payment arrangement having been committed. And that's the same for all of the other wizards, all of the other objects on those wizards. So if we look, we would use an object event script for account payment arrangement add. Okay, so if we wanted to wait until the payment arrangement had been committed to the account, then we'd use this and we'd hit our execute commit post, because the database transaction has then been committed and the payment arrangement has been affected on the account. So just a note of warning with those Wizard Validator scripts. We have seen those instances before, where people are going and performing a whole bunch of extra actions, adding a whole bunch of fees, or whatever that might be, only for the user to turn around and say no, they don't. They've decided they don't want to commit that account payment arrangement, and that code has then gone through and fired, and yeah, it's all a bit of a mess. Okay, so we'll take a quick look at a Wizard Validator I made a little bit earlier. So we've actually, this one I've used the account close, Wizard Validator on account close, and I'll just show you how we can go through and use some of these events to control the flow of the Wizard Validator. So you can see here on the page validate event under our general page, I'm checking our account close object, and again, because we've set this to account close, we'll get our account close object given to us by the script. We don't need to worry about creating one. Let's pass through. And I'm going to check for if it's set to bad debt write-off, the balance due is greater than an arbitrary figure I've noted in a constant, then we're actually going to fail the wizard, and we're going to display a message to the user. And the way that we do this is by using this outcome and outcome message. So if we go back up to the top and we look at our main function, you can see here, as well as being passed in our target object and our page ID, we're also sent through an outcome and an outcome message. Now, our outcome is a type of, it's an enum, it's a type of ISE fin decision outcome status, and we can set that to be pass, refer, or fail. Okay, if we set it to fail, then it will not let that wizard continue on. If we set it to refer, then it will refer a message back to the user to allow them to decide whether it should go on, and obviously by default it will be pass. So again, there could be any sorts of criteria here and any sort of custom validation. In this instance, like I say, I'm just doing a simple check on the balance to say if it's greater than a certain amount, then fail. So if I try and close our account here, close this account, and I set it to a bad debt write-off, which is the one that we're checking for. You can see here it's popped up my message, closing balance of that exceeds our threshold, unable to close the account. If I click OK, then it won't let me through the wizard. So these can be quite powerful, these scripts, and very, very useful for this sort of situation. And like I say, the majority of the Wizard Validator scripts that we write tend to target the page validate event, and in order to perform any additional custom validation or for any other reasons that users shouldn't be able to proceed with the processing of whatever it be. So that was our fail. If we go back and we set the same script to refer, tidy our message up a little bit, and we go and close the account now. So bad debt write-off, and next. So here we get our message again, closing balance of there exceeds the threshold, but we also get this, do you want to continue? So by setting it to refer, we're now giving the user the option. So we're advising them that they're exceeding their threshold or whatever this extra validation check might be, but we're giving them the option as to whether they want to continue with that or not. If they say no, then start moving through the wizard. Okay, so if we go back to our payment arrangement wizard, a useful piece of code, not just for wizard validators, but for any of these event scripts, is often to debug print the event ID. So again, in our main function, we get sent through an event ID, which is how the script determines at what point of the wizard we're at and what needs to fire. So if we take we put in a line of debug just above our select case on the event ID here, then we should be able to track through in debug how in which events are firing at what stage. So if I event ID there, I go back to our account and payment arrangement. You can see here that the very first thing that happens is our target object change. So as I explained earlier, the page show event does not fire for the first page. The target object change event fires first. And if we go through and hit next, then we should see a further 2 events have fired. Those being page validate and page show. So obviously it's page validate the first page and then page show on the second page, and so on and so forth. So again, useful line of code to add in when you're unsure what sequence of the events on the script are going to fire, and that goes for, as I say, not just Wizard Validator scripts, but also for general object event scripts as well.